Hey, Riverside Rockets. It is our Masterminds Book Club, Chapter 3 for today. Same thing, I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to get rid of my lovely face on here and then come back in. So, Masterminds by Gordon Korman, Chapter 3. I can't wait to move to NYC when I'm older. I'm going to live on the 60th floor of a skyscraper, eat junk food all day long, and who knows, maybe even get a motorcycle. The only thing more depressing than living in Happy Valley is having to celebrate it. In school, we all have to work on parade projects for Serenity Day, which is the holiday where we commemorate the founding of this wonderful community. Sarcasm intended. Ever notice that everything around here is Serenity something? Serenity Park, Serenity Square, Serenity Cup. I should rename my toilet Serenity Bowl. Anyway, Serenity Day is a big deal. The entire population turns out, which reminds me of a medium-sized wedding on a TV show. We drink lemonade and eat hot dogs and listen to speeches about how great our town is and how lucky we are to live here. The activities would be kind of cool if you were about six three-legged races, beanbag toss, real prime time stuff. And Happy Valley is so backward they can't even get that right. Last year in ring toss, they gave me a set of rings as wide as the hula hoops. I was wiping up the competition until Amber started complaining it was unfair. Oh, that Alaska. When it comes to fun, she's kind of like kryptonite. Whatever. The hot dogs aren't bad. Happy Valley is so small that the town officials are basically just our parents. Mr. Frieden is the mayor. My mother is the comptroller in charge of the finances. Hector's mother is the recording secretary. And you get the picture. Not only are the speeches lame, but they're delivered by people who are normally reminding you to floss or take out the garbage. The highlight of the day is the big water polo match between Team Solidarity and Team Community. Actually, that part's pretty cool. Pretty good. Water polo is just about the only chance to take out some of my frustration at living here. I accomplished this by aiming the ball at my opponent's heads. I wouldn't call it I wouldn't exactly call it textbook strategy, but then again, I wouldn't exactly call Happy Valley a town either. Believe it or not, people get pretty rah about water polo around here because the season syncs up with Serenity Day. Nobody gets this excited about our other three sports: badminton, gymnastics, and croquet. But it can be pretty wild at the pool when community and solidarity battle it out. Hector's parents always cheer the loudest. I think they're just thrilled that he's made it through another big game without drowning. Don't get me wrong, I love Hector. Driving Hector crazy is my favorite form of entertainment. All the dopey shows my parents cook up for me, he does them, no complaints, just to hear me say thanks. I can't say that too often, though. Don't want to spoil the guy. I haven't had to cut the grass, rake the leaves, or pick some random thing at the store in years. Hector's my ultimate school accessory, too. He did a great job on my research paper on tigers. It got a B plus, which isn't bad for me. Any higher and Mrs. Laska might get suspicious. Good old Hector. I guess what I'm saying is he's fun to have around, and fun is hard to come by in Serenity, New Mexico, the most boring pimple on the rock butt of the Southwest. Not that I have anything to compare it to. I've never been past the city limits, and I use the word city very generously. Wherever I go, I can count on Hector trailing along. Poor kid. When I ride my skateboard, he has to sprint. He sweats a lot. I try not to let him see me laughing. Then there's the day I look over my shoulder and the little shrimp's coming around the corner, struggling along on a skateboard of his own. He rides it like he has one leg instead of two. Or maybe it has square wheels. His parents don't seem to like him very much. It's kind of sad. They probably bought him a lousy one. He looks terrified that he's going to kill himself. The only thing that keeps him going is the hope that I'm going to see him and be impressed. Malik, back here. I pretend not to hear. Hey, wait up. It goes on like this for a while. He pleads for attention His pleas for attention grow more desperate as he runs out of breath. Eventually, I figure he's had enough, so I stop. The goofy grin on his face as he finally rolls up is totally worth it. I got a skateboard! So what? We get everything we want in Serenity: pools, trampolines, video game systems. I remember when we were 6, we got those big electric cars. Mine was the Hummer. Hector went for some kind of Mercedes. This in a community where you can walk from one side to the other in 8 minutes, max, even on first grade legs. We should be the poster town for spoiling your kids. Maybe that's why contentment is one of our main classes at school. I wonder how they teach contentment in places where kids don't have as much stuff. Now he's waiting, dying for me to say something. So I don't. He pushes. What do you think? About what? He gets shy. Well, I figured you could give me some pointers, because you're so good. That gives me an idea. Follow me! With a few pumps on my leg, I'm up to full speed, leading him on an obstacle course through the hardest streets in town. Rough road, surfaces, speed bumps, sewer gratings. The houses glide by, white and immaculate. Not a shutter out of position. The lawns are groomed and green. The flower beds well tended and perfect. Even the pink flamingos have been freshly power washed. It's like an insult to manhood. I glance over my shoulder and feel the twinge of something close to pride. Hector's following. Way behind, but give him props. He's following. I've got one more card up my sleeve, and it's the ace of spades. I reel around the circle onto Fellowship Avenue, which run past the plastics factory. The thing is, Fellowship is the steepest hill in town. It took me years to get up the courage to attempt it on a skateboard. There's no way a newbie like Hector can handle it. I fly down the grade, grooving on the wind, which is strong enough to cut into the heat of the day. Then I turn and look up. The least I can do is wait at the bottom to pick up the pieces as they land. Hector hesitates, but only for a second. Then he's on his way down, his body straight as a poker, his arms windmilling for balance as the board accelerates. I almost wish he would fall off now before he picks up enough speed for it to be a total wipeout. My dad's the local doctor, but he doesn't need me to drum up business. With a click, the factory's long electronic gear gate slides open, and a double-wide flatbed truck begins to nose out into the street. The payload is piled high with orange traffic cones. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. It's a familiar sight around Serenity, the shipment of cones heading out of town. The truck tries to turn up Fellowship, but it's too long, so the driver has to take another cut. That's when I realize that the whole street is blocked, and there's no way that Hector is going to be able to stop the speeding skateboard in time. Hector, jump, jump! Doesn't it figure? All day he's been trying to get me to talk to him, and now he's too petrified to listen. Although I probably would be too if I was hurtling at terminal velocity toward a giant truck. I hop off my board and start up the slope, sprinting flat out. I know a moment of real fear when I see how fast he's coming, but it's too late to think about that now. It's my fault he's on this hill to begin with. I can't let him get killed. Jump, idiot! He's frozen like a statue. I slip past the transport before the driver backs up again for the second cut. I line the kid up and snatch his bodily off his board, which rolls under the truck and keeps on going. The two of us hit the pavement hard, somersaulting over one another. We take a pretty big beating, bumping and scraping along the pavement. At one point, I see that my shirt is covered in blood, and I kind of panic before I realize that it's coming from Hector's nose. The driver jumps out of the truck and comes over to see if we're alive. Are you okay? Don't you know it's dangerous to skateboard down a hill like that? The guy seems to think that I was the one who almost got killed, since I probably got more blood on me. But Hector looks pretty bad too, and his nose is still gushing. He struggles to his feet, steadying himself against the side of the truck and bleeding all over the stack of cones. 3 big sneezes spray gore over a wide area. The driver is worried. Maybe I should call the surety. That's what we all have to hear. We're right by the factory, so there must be purple people eaters just on the other side of the gate. Those guys creep me out. And who knows the penalty for bleeding on their precious traffic cones? It's okay, Mr. Hector sniffles. We're fine. Well, what do you know, Shrimp? What do you know? Shrimp has the brains to be cool about something. We both get up, sidestep the truck, and run off after our skateboards. At the bottom of the slope, we pick up our boards and walk. Hector is impressed. Do you believe that? We bled together like blood brothers. I have to laugh. If you don't shut up, I'm going to take you back to the top of the hill. His nose twitches. And don't sneeze on me. You want me to get sick? I don't have a cold. Didn't you see how dusty those cones were? I'm allergic. Being a wimp doesn't count as an allergy. I learned 2 things that day. First, never skateboard with Hector Amani. I mean, I love messing with the kid and all that, but he's such a spaz that he's going to get himself killed one of these days, and I don't want that to be on me. Second, the Serenity Plastic Works is about as intelligently run as everything else in this one-horse town. Whenever I see one of those trucks now, I check it out. Hector's right. Those cones really are covered in dust. Who knows how long their product sits around before they bother to ship it out? This is the factory that's supposed to be our claim to fame. Those cones aren't just dusty, they're dirty. On one of the trucks, there is a dark, crusty stuff on some of them. If I didn't know better, I'd swear it's Hector's nosebleed. But that all happened days ago. And that, my book club buddies, is chapter 3. This is Mrs. Wilkenbush signing out. I will see you tomorrow for chapter 4.